Jody.
And I'm Alison.
And you're listening to The Blume Saloon.
It's a Judy Blume book club.
We did it good that time.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
It was really smooth.
I was thinking about it, how I always want to say thank you for calling the Judy Blume book club, like I'm recording a voicemail.
Really? That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so, wow.
What a week.
What a week. You guys were reading Tiger Eyes, chapters 7 through 12. And already this book is just like so emotional.
It's so heavy and so concise.
Mm-hmm.
And like there are just so many moments where you're like, oh my God, Judy, you just wrote like 2 lines, but the weight of the world was felt.
This is a true treasure.
It's a true treasure. And I'm like totally falling in love with Davey and her wise beyond her years kind of maturity that she has. It's such a nice departure
like
from Margaret.
Teach me how to
I
live.
know. Seriously. Yeah, she's just bold and sassy and so into her. So
yeah.
I'm feeling this.
We love Davey. Well, before we launch into these chapters, we like to provide some odds and ends to you, Bloom heads.
Tie some things up in a bow for you from last episode.
Yeah, a couple things on the agenda here. I would like to readdress Jimmy Buffett's Margaritaville retirement communities. If you listen to the last episode, at the very end, I went off on a little bit of a spiel about how I heard what I thought was a spoof ad on the radio about Jimmy Buffett Margaritaville retirement communities. I was like, oh, ha, ha, there's no way that could be a real thing.
You're telling me this is real.
Yes, Allison, yes.
But this is not what I was expecting to walk into today.
I'm not even going to try paraphrasing. I'm just going to read a snippet from this article I found about this new residential community.
Yeah, this is great because it'll help me plan for my retirement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I can move some things around.
Because it's coming up really quickly.
Exactly.
So this article is from Billboard.com. This is pretty recent, from March 6th.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. At some point, even parrot heads need to add a bit of qualified nursing care to their routine of endless Mai Tais and cheeseburgers. Soon, they'll be able to find that in paradise being built by their supreme leader, Jimmy Buffett, courtesy of a planned string of Margaritaville retirement homes. According to the website for Latitude Margaritaville, the first of the communities is being planned in Daytona Beach, Florida.
Oh.
That doesn't surprise me.
No.
And it promises that the party will continue well into the golden years. It's always been that happy place in your mind, the spirit of adventure in your soul. It's the state of mind when it all comes together in one of life's perfect moments. When your mind wanders to this paradise, why not follow it home, reads the site. We have heard your call. Minto Communities and Margaritaville welcome you to Latitude Margaritaville, inspired by the legendary music and lifestyle of singer, songwriter, and best-selling author Jimmy Buffett. He's a best-selling author?
I love and hate everything about this.
Yeah. Your new home in paradise features exciting recreation, unmatched dining, and fantastic nightlife. With Minto's 60 years of experience developing award-winning master plan communities and building quality homes for over 80,000 families. Innovative new homes are a given. Your face is just priceless right now.
My mind is racing. Like, do they have like what t-shirt contest?
I'm kind of imagining some kind of weird spring break for the active adults.
Yeah,
AKA
that's what I'm
55
imagining
and over.
too. Like, I mean, it is Daytona Beach.
Yes.
Like
a lot of like convertible Jeeps cruising up and down the strip.
Well, I see a lot of like margarita drinking with like hands in the air.
Mm-hmm.
Woo! A lot of woos.
Yeah, a lot of water aerobics, maybe with, I imagine,
maracas.
The only music that, yes, water aerobics with maracas. Yeah. I don't know. It sounds horrible. You know, the active adult lifestyle, this is all about the baby boomers. They're still like young at heart, you know. Why would you want to surround yourself by fucking branding? Everything's branded. There's nothing authentic about that. There's no answer. That's a rhetorical question.
Pretty mystified by all this.
So it's true. It's real.
Well, thank you so much
for
figuring that out. How did you come to that? You're just like, I need to know more about this.
It was after we recorded, and I was like, you know what? It could be real. It could be. Because I have a couple clients that are in the master plan communities. Mm-hmm. So I do a lot of branding for them, and there's one of them that is a 55 plus active adult lifestyle community, and it isn't so on the nose, overly branded like that, but I can see that mindset lends itself very easily to a franchise like Jimmy Buffett.
See the dollar signs, just like
mm-hmm. Ching, ching. Yep. Well, Jimmy, good on ya.
Yeah, good for you.
And this is just my second small odd and end I wanted to contribute, but we talked a little bit about the movie Stripes last episode, and I decided to go ahead and watch it. So I rented it on Amazon Prime.
You're doing a great job of really getting into the time.
Into the tone, the zone, the 1981 zone.
Yes, exactly.
And I think we thought it was a Vietnam War movie.
Yeah, it's not?
Nope. Well, it's a military-based movie, but it's not during Vietnam. No, it's very much like contemporary 1981. Oh. And there's no war going on. It's basically about two dead-end dudes looking for something to do with their lives, so they join the army. Why not? Oh. And just all the hijinks they get up to. It's like a goofy comedy, very typical of that era. Bill Murray. Mm-hmm. Got a lot of famous people in it. John Candy. Oh, PJ Souls.
Who's that?
She was in, you totally recognize her. She was the main girl in Rock and Roll High School. She was also one of the bitch friends in Carrie.
Oh.
Yeah. Really short, blunt, thick bangs and pigtails. Anyway, I would say Stripes is probably not worth spending a lot of time watching. The apex for me of the movie was the co-ed naked mud wrestling featuring John Candy. And then it kind of went downhill from there.
Oh my God, of course.
So that's Stripes.
Oh, yeah.
Are you looking up PJ Souls?
Mm-hmm, yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Great bangs.
Yes. Aspirational bangs.
Yeah, I'm very envious of these bangs.
I think you could pull those bangs off. You just need to pull more hair into the bang area.
I keep asking my hairdresser to do this.
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't know.
She won't do it?
No, because I I go in and I'm like, I want to go really thick.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, I just don't think that you have more hair to pull in.
You totally do. What about the whole rest of your head?
I know, right?
Just make
my bangs just start at the back?
Yes. Full head bangs.
Just go full bangs.
Yeah. Well, those are my odds and ends.
Oh, yeah, I've got an odd and an end.
A nod and an.
We talked last week about self-defense and whether or not you could have a baseball bat in your home if you don't play baseball.
Yes.
And so I asked an expert who does not want me to call him an expert and says he did not do all of the research, nor does he know whether or not this is relevant in a state other than California. Mm-hmm. However, I have got a little interview here that we can play. Are you able to have a baseball bat in your house and use it for self-defense, even if you don't play baseball?
The short answer is yes. The slightly longer answer is, how would anyone know? If someone comes into your house or Jody's house, you can hit them with just about anything you want, and the police will probably believe that you're defending yourself. It's like when you bring your baseball bat to a road rage, or you bring your baseball bat to a place where there's going to be a fight. That's where people get in trouble. But the police aren't investigating whether or not you play baseball or not.
What if I have a baseball bat in my trunk and I drive around with it?
That's probably a bad sign, and you would really need to. You probably would have a tough time using that if the other person wasn't armed with a knife or a gun or something like that.
Thanks.
But self-defense is all about what's reasonable. That's what you look at. What's reasonable for you to do in the situation that you're presented with. So if a guy comes into your house and you don't know who it is, it's the middle of the night, and they seem threatening, it's reasonable for you to wield a baseball bat, probably.
And so sleeping with a bread knife under your pillow is okay.
That just seems dangerous. Thought that was weird.
Wow,
that really clears things up.
Yes, thank you so much, expert who shall remain anonymous.
Thanks so much for all of your help in helping us figure this out and what weapons we should and can have.
If any of our listeners, like our lawyers who specialize in baseball bats as self-defense, we'd love to keep this conversation going. So please write to us.
Please write to us. And I might have to go back and ask a little bit more about your knife, Lady Marmalade.
Lady Marmalade.
What's it really called?
Oh my god, I love that this knife has so many names now. It's the matriarch. But, okay, not only was she dubbed Madam Butterfly by Katie, but now she's Lady Marmalade. That's so amazing.
I knew it was something with an M.
Let's hear about what characters we've read about in these chapters.
Sure. It was just a few this time. We've got our heroine, Davey, Davis Wexler. Such a good name.
Yeah.
I just love it.
Mm-hmm.
We find out the origin of the name.
Yes.
In these chapters. We've got Bitsy and Walter, who are Davy's aunt and uncle. Bitsy is Davy's recently deceased father's sister. We've got Mom and Jason still. Jason is Davy's 7-year-old brother. And then we've got Minka the cat. Mm-hmm. I want to make sure that we always give a shout out to Minka the cat. And we've got a new character, Wolf. First name or last name? Either.
Or neither.
Ooh.
Shall we begin with chapter 11? 7?
It's chapter 7. We're going to have chapters 7 through 12
We're just
on
going
this
to
episode.
go out of order. Why not? Let's switch it up a little bit.
42.
All right, you guys. This is chapter 7. So if you remember, Davey and her mom and her brother have decided to get out of town, get out of Atlantic City per the doctor's orders. They need a change of scenery. So they've decided to stay with Aunt Bitsy and Uncle Walter for an indefinite period of time. What's their couple's name? Is it Witsy? Is it Balter? Is it...
I like Witsy.
Yeah, Witsy?
Witsy is good. I like that. They shall be named Witsy.
Witsy.
Going forward.
Yes. So they're in Albuquerque. Davey describes her initial impression. It seems like a perfect cloudless blue sky. Hot, but not sticky hot like Atlantic City. So
I
it's
like
very,
that. Not sticky.
Yeah, Atlantic City is often described as hot and sticky by Davey, which I think is a very visceral kind of description. I like it. So immediately, right off the bat, that they're in a new territory here.
Totally different place. Cloudless skies. Blue cloudless skies.
Walter drives everyone in his Blazer to their house, and this trip seems like it takes an eternity.
Oh my god.
Hours and
drive
hours and hours.
Forever.
But I actually looked at Google Maps, and it's really from Albuquerque Airport to Los Alamos is really about only an hour and a half. But maybe back in 1981, the roads were slightly different. It could have taken about 6.
That's a good chunk of time to be with your family in a car.
And he drives like a maniac, so it probably added on to the perceived
Every time he's addressed, they're swerving off the road.
Davey notices a rifle in the way back of his Blazer and asks Walter about it. He's very matter-of-fact about the fact that not only does he carry a loaded rifle with him, but he considers it almost a necessity to bring it with him whenever they leave, in quotes, the hill.
I think the Southwest is a little bit like that. I think it's pretty gun-toting.
So after what seems like hours, they reach Los Alamos. And there's a description on page 32 I thought might be a good way to get into this. We get back into the Blazer and drive a few more miles until we come to the town itself. After a 2-hour drive... Oh, so it was only 2 hours. After the spectacular scenery, after hearing about the town as a secret place, I am disappointed too. Los Alamos looks almost ordinary, flat and ordinary. I once went to visit a friend's brother at Fort Dix, an army base in New Jersey, and Los Alamos reminds me of it. We could be anywhere, I think, as we drive past a shopping center, past the small library, past the post office, anywhere at all. And then in the next paragraph, I won't read it, but it's very specific. Diamond Drive, and they pass the high school and the post office, and like there's a mall or something that they pass. And I just want to go off on a little bit of a tangent here. I became obsessed with Los Alamos.
Tell me everything.
So I'll tell you the bulk of it after this chapter, but I just wanted to interject here that I took it upon myself to go to Google Maps Street View and find Diamond Drive.
Whoa!
And navigate my way through where I felt like Walter and Bitsy might live, because she was, she kind of listed out the turns they took, and I kind of found the neighborhood they might live in. I just wanted to see what the houses looked like. I wanted to see the surroundings. Did you know Judy lived in Los Alamos for 2 years?
No, when?
I think in maybe the late 70s, early 80s. Her 2 kids were in high school. She was briefly married to a physicist.
Oh, wow.
In between her first and third marriages. And she said it was a marriage that wasn't meant to be, didn't last long, but it did bring her to Los Alamos. And she said it wasn't a very happy time.
Oh,
so that
wow.
explains
and
a lot.
That's when she wrote this.
Mm-hmm.
That's wild.
Mm-hmm. So, Bitsy takes everyone on a tour of the home. It had been a government-built duplex that she and Walter renovated to make it a single-family house. And so, again, this really intrigued me. Like, ooh, government-built duplex. Like, I want to see more about this. And so I went to Zillow and Redfin, looked up homes for sale in Los Alamos, and I filtered it between the years of, like, 1940 and 1950. And there are a ton of still existing government-built homes from Project Y, which was part of the Manhattan Project, which I'll tell you all about. That have been renovated, and some not renovated. So there's some that are almost like time capsules from
that's
the
so
1950s.
Cool. We're gonna have to post some pictures
There's some,
online.
yes, some really great ones. And there is a great book called Quads, Shoeboxes, and Sunken Living Rooms. It's a history about Los Alamos housing, and I think I have to order this now that I'm a crazy obsessed person. From my sleuthing, I think I figured out that Bitsy and Walter's house is what they call a Group 11 house, which was one of the fancier houses specifically built for the scientists during Project Y. So it sounds like they're pretty well to do.
Yeah, I mean, they described the house as being really big and, not even really being able to fit the furniture that's in it. So it must, I think, we learn later, they always wanted to have a family.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think they got this house thinking, we'll have plenty of room for a family that they aren't able to have.
Yeah. And that also explains a lot about Witsy's kind of approach to life at this point in time.
Yes. Do you have any notes? I thought it was bizarre that they buy, a side of beef every year.
I have a few facts that we need to know about them. That is one of them.
Yeah, I think it just really sums up Witsy.
Yes.
They buy this, half a cow and freeze it and keep it and plan all their meals out and are just very particular.
And 6 months worth of frozen vegetables.
That's bizarre.
Bitsy also has a Volvo with a bumper sticker that reads, "I love my Volvo."
And she calls it her baby.
Yes.
Oof.
So we can tell they're very particular, like you said, but I also feel like they might have a bit of a doomsday attitude. You know what I mean?
Think they're preppers?
Perhaps. They live in Atomic City. They're surrounded by this industry. The fact that they're preparing ahead for 6 months tells me something.
And Walter does drive around with a rifle in the back of his blazer.
Mm-hmm. So after the tour of the home, Davey's shown to her room. She unpacks. She puts away her 2 most important possessions that she brought with her. Number 1, the bread knife. How did she get that on the plane? I hope she checked it in her.
It's in her checked luggage, I'm sure. This is also a pre-9/11 world.
That's true. So she very well could have brought the bread knife in her carry-on, but... and then the second thing she puts away is the brown paper bag, which we still don't know its contents.
What is in that brown paper bag?
Mm-hmm. Something very important to her that she can't leave home without. So then it's dinner time. Walter's grilling on the deck. It all seems very idyllic.
Right.
Mom is already lounging on the chaise with a drink in hand. She's letting loose. Bitsy is just scurrying around, being Betty Homemaker, trying to make everything lovely and perfect. Davey notes that she realizes she's hungry for the first time since her dad's death. So that's a good sign.
I think she's like kind of relaxing, kind of having a good time, able to not just think about the things she's upset about.
A little sidebar here. She describes how she's 5'5", but only 101 pounds. But even then, her mom would tease her about watching what she eats, or else she'll end up being a fatty. I mean, oh man, this reminds me of poor Gretchen in Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret.
Right, putting Oreos back.
Oh man.
Yeah, I guess they wouldn't let her eat Cheez-Its, huh?
Oh yeah, our new snack of choice is Cheez-Its.
It's true.
We've moved on from Oreos.
We're snacking hard over here.
And so over dinner, we learned that Witsy like you said, had expected to raise a family but couldn't conceive, and they seem regretful, but they've accepted this fact, and their time is up. They're older. I mean, sorry, that's
time is up.
Oh my god, that sounds awful. I meant. I think their time to be able to conceive is up. I'm assuming they're in their probably early 50s.
I think that they're 47.
Okay. Still.
Yeah.
Your time's up. It's off to Margaritaville for you.
They're getting ready.
Oh, jeez. Okay. Which, though, is a very interesting contrast to Davey's parents, who, like, got busy under the $1 million pier and boom, baby.
Right. And Davey does mention that.
Yeah.
She wonders if they were ever, kind of resentful because it was so easy for Davey's parents and so unplanned.
And then after dinner, Jason seems like he's having a grand old time. He's tossing a Frisbee around. He's wearing his, not a Superman, Dracula cape. But then he suddenly gets a bloody nose from the altitude, which happens.
Right. Yeah, they're at 7,300 feet.
Ooh, that's high.
Yeah.
Everyone's dealing with it, as they should. They just get him some tissues and tell him it's going to be okay. But Davey has a full-on panic attack.
Oh, she starts screaming and screaming and screaming.
I wrote that exact. I wrote screams and screams and screams 3 times.
And then her mom shakes her.
Oh, I don't actually remember that.
Yeah, her mom has to kind of like shake her out of it. Like, Davey, stop.
Oh, what I took note of was the brandy.
Oh, yeah, then that happens.
I think I just skipped straight to the brandy. And
you're like, alcohol?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Bitsy hands Davey a glass of brandy. He's like, sip this. And it sounded like she had a lot of sips. She said, this will calm you right down. And I was like, ooh, Bitsy's a secret alcoholic.
Yeah. And that's the end of chapter 7.
That's it. But you've got some research for us.
Oh, yeah. Oh, gosh. You guys, there's so much here. I'm going to try not to... I hope this isn't boring. I think it's fucking fascinating.
No, I'm so excited for this. I'm so here for this.
All right. So, before we started recording, I told Alison I kind of want to take a trip to Los Alamos now. I am bona fide obsessed. I don't know if Alison, if you saw the emailed links that I sent, if you saw the timestamp on them.
No.
5:30 this morning.
What? What were you doing up at 5:30 this morning?
I think like one of the cats woke me up and I couldn't get back to sleep and I was just thinking about Los Alamos.
You're just like Atomic City.
So I was laying in bed on my phone just fucking clicking after click after click. And here's what I learned.
Give it to me.
It's nicknamed Atomic City. You know, local businesses, or they call themselves like the Atomic Diner. They're, everything's themed after.
So this is where they developed the atomic bomb?
I'm getting ahead of myself. Yeah. So there's the Manhattan Project. Mm-hmm. This is the overarching umbrella for the development of the atomic bomb, the nuclear weapons. But Project Y specifically was where they developed it. So
Did they test them there?
Not at that location, close by, because there's plenty of open land. So they had a little bit of safety measures in place, but as we know, like not as much as they should have.
Oof.
And I'll get into the history in just a second, but there's some like very strange company town still, So I saw a picture of a baby onesie that was being sold by a boutique that says, "I've been dropping bombs since day one."
What?
It's a very cavalier attitude.
Yeah, this is interesting because it's so timely as we embark on World War III ourselves, and there's so much tension over nuclear weapons.
Well, that
Birth
brings
of
up
it.
another interesting fact. It's so isolated that protesters aren't really able to get up there that often. So over the years, especially during the 60s, the no nukes kind of era, there have been a lot of protesters in different sites across the country, but Los Alamos is relatively untouched by kind of the opposition because of the remote location.
Whoa, so that's kind of like the people that are there may not really have any idea how strange it is to live there.
And some of them have been there for generations, like their parents worked at the lab. So they're in it. Another interesting fact, Los Alamos has the most millionaires per capita in the U.S. But that said, there's only about 12,000 residents, so...
okay.
It makes sense because, you know, there are some very high-paid, renowned scientists living there.
Say, who are these people?
Yeah, I don't know.
Nuclear physicists?
Yeah, and just they're doing other research there as well, not just nuclear weaponry at this point, but the lab is still open and a major employer of the area. So it's considered very elite and isolated. It's on top of this mesa. So as Davey described,
the altitude is so high.
Yeah. And the surrounding kind of like valley area around the mesa is comprised of some of the poorest counties in New Mexico, which is one of the poorest states in the U.S. So there's such a disparate level of lifestyle from up on the hill versus down. And maybe this explains why Walter is so cray-cray about bringing his rifle every time he leaves the hill.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I think the assumption was that these millionaires would kind of have a trickle-down effect on the poor communities, but it really didn't happen that way.
Doesn't work.
No. And also, the city is partially toxic.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. So there's current nuclear research going on there, and they dispose radioactive waste. I think they thought they were being careful, but there have been reports that it's drifting from the lab into the residential areas.
So you're telling me there's going to be Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles any time now?
And maybe there already are, but it's just so secretive that we don't know.
I wonder if there's weird birth defects and all kinds of funky stuff that's being hidden.
This is why I want to go. because I want to find out.
Exposure.
But on the upside, low crime, just as Walter and Bitsy said, great schools. So you can see why they kind of feel like this is the place to be.
Right, and Walter's a physicist, right? So
Yeah.
this is kind of like he feels he's reached the pinnacle of his career being there.
Yeah. And a little bit of history on the place. I thought this was also pretty interesting. So pre-World War II, it was home to indigenous Pueblo communities, some local ranchers, and this elite boys prep school / Boy Scout style boarding school called the Ranch School. Gore Vidal, William S. Burroughs went there. Many other notables went there as well. It was a pretty top-notch education for your young man.
I thought you were going to say Colt, and I got really excited.
Oh, no. I mean, who knows what went on at that school. But I feel like it was a legit kind of good place to send your boys.
Ooh.
But in 1942, we had to defeat those motherfuckers, those Nazis. So the government ousted the school, ousted the ranchers via eminent domain, and took over the 50-plus buildings that belonged to the school, and also brought in outside contractors to quickly build housing for the scientists and other lab workers. They got to live in the houses that had bathtubs, which other houses didn't.
Thing.
Yeah, and so all the homes that had bathtubs, the row they were on is nicknamed Bathtub Row.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And that's still how the street is known as Bathtub Row to this day. It was so secretive that people who lived there couldn't tell their friends or relatives where they lived. No mail could come in or out. Everyone's address was the same. It was P.O. Box 1663, Santa Fe, New Mexico.
What?
So people who were born there during the kind of classified years, on their birth records, it says P.O. Box 1663.
Whoa.
Crazy.
That's bananas.
Yeah. And what else? This is really sad. The school, the boys' school, and the ranchers and homesteaders, I think they were under the impression that they would get their shit back once World War II was over, but that never happened.
Whoa, so they really just took over.
Yeah. I think a lot of it is cha-ching money.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And now it's operated by University of California, of all institutions.
What?
Isn't that weird?
That is weird. Why wouldn't it be New Mexico?
I don't know.
Huh.
A lot of people say that the original scientists like Oppenheimer and crew would not have approved of
What's happening now?
Yeah, of it still being around. This was supposed to, be a project-wide, not a long-term development of a nuclear arsenal.
Wow. Jody, thank you.
I am such an expert. Not really. I mean, this is like, 5:30 a.m. research. So listeners, if anyone is from Los Alamos or knows anything about it, please, 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 I beg of you, email us.
Yes, we would love some first-person stories or any kind of, bits and pieces that you have about New Mexico and the nuclear program, Project Y, all of that. We would just eat it up.
Anything.
Please.
Even if you've just taken a trip there and you went to McDonald's, tell me all about it. All right, and that's what I got.
Cool. So we go from this traumatic nosebleed, brandy sipping, shaking session we flash forward to a week later. Davey's asking Witsy, if she can borrow a bike. And I only include this because this kind of blew my mind. For some reason, their social security numbers are etched onto their bikes, engraved across the bar.
Oh my God, I took note of that too. Come on now.
Right? What do you do with your bike? You just leaving your bike around with your social security number right on it? Yeah, they're riding around bikes with their social security numbers engraved right on them. Davey's seen them in the garage. She wants to take it out. And they say, yeah, that's fine. Just wear a helmet and make it back by 10:30. So first off, Davey's like, I don't even need to wear a helmet. I don't ever have to wear a helmet. And she's getting real sassy about it. Yeah. And then finally agrees. She realizes, okay, Witsy's a little uptight. Mm-hmm. But she's kind of like, what's this rules business? In Atlantic City, I did what I wanted. And then she also is like, I need a day off from all of this family time. They're all supposed to go to Cochiti Lake the next day. And so they say, yeah, just make it back in time to go to Cochiti Lake. She's like, I kind of want a day off from you people. But
they've been really psycho about planning sightseeing tours every day for the past week.
Right. And so she very diplomatically finds her way around it. They reluctantly agree. And then she mentions, this is the end of the chapter, that Bitsy is always threatening to tickle Jason.
Yeah.
And that she really feels that tickling is a form of torture.
Yeah.
And this made me laugh because I'm kind of like, I like to tickle children. But I have heard in the last few years you're not supposed to, that it can really traumatize them. And it's new parenting and studies they've shown you shouldn't tickle children because it is really awful.
Not inappropriate touching, but it teaches them that they're supposed to let an adult touch them.
Right.
Yeah.
And that it's a feeling they don't want to feel.
Right.
And all this, but there's
just
something
got
about
those tickle fingers out.
There's something about tickling a little kid. I just love it.
Maybe you can start just tickling cute animals instead if you need to get that out of your system.
I know where am I going to get my tickle fix? Then we embark on chapter 9. Davey says bye-bye to Walter as he's loading the rifle into the back of the
Wouldn't
Blazer.
want to be ya, sucker.
Yeah. She takes the bike out, and of course she's wearing the helmet. She agrees to ride against traffic, which is not actually recommended.
No.
But apparently Walter says
I
everyone
got pulled
rides
over on my
hill.
bike for riding against traffic once.
Whoa, where?
In New Orleans. It was Halloween night. It was about 2 a.m. I was riding by myself, drunk, facing traffic, because I thought that was the safer way to do it. Mm-hmm. And a cop car pulled me over.
You could have gotten a BUI.
Yeah, he could have cited me for reckless...
Drunk biking?
Yeah, a BUI. I mean, that sounds good to me.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
But of course she gets a few blocks away. When she gets out onto Diamond Drive, she takes that helmet right off, shakes out her hair. Mm-hmm. It just made me think okay, Davey's a little babe. I know I'm cool, and I just shake this helmet off and don't care if I die. But she's working hard. She's sweating. You know, with this high altitude, it's really hard to actually ride a bike. It's kind of getting to her, so she stops to explore the canyon. And you know what? She's like, I'm going to climb down this canyon. I know that Bitsy's always saying you shouldn't be doing things like this by yourself, but Bitsy's overprotective. I'm an independent woman. And so she climbs down and, you know, she starts to kind of reflect on this whole situation, the last few weeks of her life, losing her father and wishing that she could tell him all about this climb and everything that's happening, and realizing, you know, she's not going to be able to talk to her dad again. It was really very sad.
It was so sad.
She starts shouting, "Daddy," you know, kind of over and over. She's getting it out. I've heard of scream therapy. I think this could help her.
Can you
Although
imagine,
that's what
like,
Brian Wilson did.
echoing through the canyons? It must have sounded pretty
Scary.
I was
to
gonna say
other
cool.
people.
Yeah.
I mean, cool to her, but then other people heard it
Right.
and were very concerned.
Right.
So yeah, someone does eventually hear her, and he's like, are you okay? Do you need help? You're down in the canyon by yourself yelling daddy? He climbs down. He's this 19 or 20-year-old dark-haired, dark-skinned man. You can tell he's got a thing about him. Davey's like, oh shit, I'm alone. There's a dude here. So she looks for a rock to use as a weapon. And, you know, he starts to lecture her. Like, why are you down here by yourself? Are you crazy? You know, that's not very smart. But she's so sassy to him. I'd like to read this exchange. If we can.
I have
Page 47. Okay, so Davey asks, you know, she's like, you're alone. Like, why are you alone down here? And then we hear from the man.
I've had plenty of experience.
How do you know I haven't?
You wouldn't know your ass from your armpit.
He laughs. Listen, macho man. Buzz off.
Are you always so bitchy?
No. Just when I feel like it.
You're new around here.
So what if I am?
Hey, relax. I'm not going to bite you. All I'm trying to say is, next time, bring a friend. It's safer that way.
I don't have any friends.
Well, find some.
And then, you know, she goes on to say, he's like, what are you so pissed about? Like, why are you being so sassy? I'm trying to help you. And she's like, I'm pissed off at the world. And then we just get this, you know, where we understand just how angst-ridden she really is.
Yeah.
How sassy. And I love it. And I feel a little bad for this dude.
And I like that the word bitchy is in there. Yes.
It's true. You see, yeah, this is taking it up a notch. They share some water because, of course, Davey's down there without
no water.
any sustenance. And then we learn this is Wolf.
Yes.
This is the Wolf we knew was coming. Davey asks him, is your first name, your last name? He's like, either. Whatever you want to say. You know, and they argue again a little bit more because he's like, well, I have an appointment to get to. I've got to get out of here. Come with me. And she's like, no, I'll be fine. And he's like, girl, you're crazy.
Yeah.
No, you will not. You're going to get stuck. And then I'm going to end up being down here anyways, helping you.
He's part of like a search and rescue crew, right?
Yeah, that's what we learn, you know. And she wants to ask him, like, if he was part of rescuing the little 14-year-old boy that Bitsy had mentioned. But she doesn't because she's too cool to ask questions. Yes. And so she finally follows and she tries to make some small talk. And he's like, how about just stop talking?
Yeah.
You can barely breathe. Which I've been on many a hike like that where I'm like, I just need to stop talking. If I stop talking, I'll be able to breathe. But then I'm like, blah. I've been on hikes where I thought search and rescue might have to come.
Oh, me too. Oh. Yes. It becomes like really, really dire.
Totally. And I have horrible allergies and like have had like, you know, like I'll have a little panic attack and have just been like, I'll never make it. And then you end the hike and you're like, I'm fine. Let's go get a bagel.
And you're like in the parking lot and there's all these other cars around and you're like, how did I think I was so far away from civilization like 5 minutes ago?
It's like, oh, there's a trail map right here.
Right.
And I was not very far at all. And my phone works.
Yes, yes. Oh my God, yes.
So as they're walking up, you know, they can't, or hiking up the canyon, we get some good wolf admiration. I really liked this quote.
Sexy bod.
Okay, I think so. I'm having trouble keeping up. So I'm breathing hard. So I'm a little out of shape. So what? I don't say any of this. Instead, I watch the muscles in his legs. I notice how brown and smooth the skin is on his back, how his hair hangs just past the nape of his neck, how narrow his hips are, how strong his arms and shoulders look.
Girl!
Damn, girl, get it!
I bet she just wants to reach out and grab that ass.
I wish she would.
She's too busy trying to breathe, though, so cut her a little slack.
So they make it out, back to the bike. Wolf tells Davey to, like, get some boots. Those Adidas's you're wearing are great for tennis and all, but get some boots. And I was like, oh, yeah, I can relate to that. Then, as she leaves, he's like, well, what's your name? She tells him her name is Tiger. And he says, your first or last name? She's like, neither.
The perfect comeback to his response.
Oh my God, just like this sassiest thing in the
man.
world. And I love it because my cat growing up was named Tiger.
Aw.
So I use Tiger for like a lot of different things now, like
Yeah.
passwords. I shouldn't leave that in.
Now you have to go home and change them all.
Yeah. But so I just kind of have like Tiger to me is kind of this cool name.
Yeah. She's kind of aligning herself with him in like a primal way by making up that name.
Yeah. Like,
There
there might also
is-
be some cultural appropriation.
Oh.
She's like in.
She's in it.
Yeah. And she gets home for chapter 10. She sings in the shower for the first time in weeks. And she has this amazing fantasy.
Oh, this is my favorite chapter so far.
It was so good. She's got this fabulous fantasy of being like a casino singer in Atlantic City and wearing a black slinky dress and singing only to Wolf, who's in the audience, even though her friends are there. And they're like, what? Who's this mystery man? And she's like, I don't care. And so then he hands her a bouquet of roses. It was all very dreamy.
I have a theory.
Oh, tell me more.
It's very sensual. She's looking at him with bedroom eyes, like piercing his soul with her husky voice. When she finishes, everyone's like, encore, bravo! Allison, I think this is the stand-in for the masturbation scene.
I agree completely.
Okay.
I think she actually went home and was like singing in the shower and was like, oh, hey.
Yeah.
Let me think about Wolf. And they're like, well, I've got to replace this with something. And they're like, oh, just a casino singing
Just make
fantasy.
her sing. Yeah, but like all of the kind of innuendos are there. I definitely think this could be translated into something a little more adult. If
I agree.
Judy's publishers hadn't stepped in. So now we're on to chapter 11. This whole chapter is a flashback, and it's almost like we have two storylines going on. We've got the current, present tense, and then we've
Right.
got the night that her father was murdered, and it's all developing kind of simultaneously.
Right. We know more and more is going to happen. And you get kind of glimmers.
Yeah. So this is a flashback to the night her father was murdered. It's another hot, sticky evening in Atlantic City. She's getting ready for a date with Hugh, her summertime boyfriend that she met at her dad's store. And she's listening to Bruce Springsteen, which I love. And I looked up what hits Bruce had out in 1981. And one of them was Hungry Heart. And is that the one that goes like, oh man, I'm forgetting it all of a sudden. Like, Hungry Heart. Yeah, exactly.
But I'm also like mixing it up with like Hurts So Good and like
Yeah.
John Mellencamp
Exactly.
and then also like Hungry Eyes.
Oh,
so
man.
they're all kind of meshed together.
Just a mega mix.
Pumping the Megamix.
So she's getting ready for her date, really pumped. Davey's mom, meanwhile, is trying to shepherd Jason out the door for a back-to-school sale. It seems like they're going to this back-to-school sale at the Gene Machine.
Gene Machine
At, like-
really got me.
Yeah, I love it. I highlighted that. But the timeline seems like it's 9:00 at night, and they're going Gene shopping.
A really hard time with the timing.
I had to go back and reread. She's like, yeah, we're going to be back at around 10 in the evening, if we stop for ice cream, we'll be back at 11. And I was like, okay.
Considering I don't leave the house much after like 9 p.m., I was very confused about when all this was happening.
Yeah.
It's like summer, and it's East Coast where people stay up later.
You wait
Gotta
till it's
go to the gene
cooler.
machine in the
Yeah,
evening.
exactly. And then we have a really nice dialogue between Davey and her mom, which gives us a glimpse of her mom being more of a hands-on parent. Because we haven't seen a lot of that post
She's been
her father's death.
Yeah, detached.
I really like that moment. And she's kind of like telling Davey, don't stay out too late, be careful, just being a normal mom. Oh, as you mentioned, Alison, we learned that Davis is named for her mother's maiden name.
Mm-hmm.
Because poor Gwen, her father and her brother both passed away when she was a relatively young age. So she's had a lot of losses in her life.
I know. I was really heartbroken to hear that.
Mm-hmm.
That this is kind of a running theme in her life, is she loses people much before their time.
The important men in her life, her father, her brother, her husband.
Mm-hmm.
So she had no one to carry on the family name, so that's how Davis got her name. If your mom named you after her maiden name, what would it be?
Well, I have my mom's maiden name is my middle name.
Oh, what is it?
Actually, it's Campbell.
Oh, that's a great name too.
Mhm.
And that's
It is
a
a
very
really good
like
name.
hip name right now as well.
It's true. It's a good one.
I would have been Jerome's,
I like it.
but my grandmother's maiden name was Stoner.
Really?
I wish my name was Stoner Worthington.
Well, my grandmother on my dad's side's maiden name is Midget.
Oh my god, I love it!
And so my great grandma, her mother, when we were young, was our grandma Midget. But I didn't realize it was because it was her maiden name. I thought it was because she was small, because she had osteoporosis.
Oh no.
So it took me a while to figure that out. So it made me feel better that we called her Grandma Midget. Because otherwise I'd be
Because-
like, we should call her Grandma Little Person.
Yes, exactly. So then Davey talks to Minka, her beautiful calico cat, about her pure, unadulterated physical attraction.
She's asking the cat if she has physical attraction to boy cats. It's like a very bizarre, like, heated situation.
She's like, Minka, has a boy cat ever rubbed up to you and made you feel like funny inside?
And then I was like, well, Davey and Hugh are definitely dry humping on the beach, if not more.
Oh yeah, $1 million pier time.
Yeah. Oh man, it's really stresses
Am I
me
being
out.
a weirdo? I'm like getting all pumped for this 15-year-old to lose her virginity under
Yeah,
the pier.
I'm talking about
sorry.
tickling small children, and you're talking about 15-year-old sex.
Oh, we
so.
have to edit so much out. But we definitely know that Hugh makes Davey feel good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So she puts on her new halter top. She sprays on some Charlie, which I love. Oh, that's the most 80s perfume ever.
Yes.
I was trying to think, like, if it was my teenage years, it would have been Sunflowers or Dream from the Gap. Those were the scents.
So Liz Claiborne Curve.
Oh my, I don't know that one.
Oh, that was really big.
Yeah.
When I was like in junior high, and that was like the go-to gift. Like if you had a boyfriend or girlfriend in junior high,
Yeah.
was to get them perfume or cologne.
Yeah.
It was like totally impersonal.
And you had like 7 bottles collected on your
Right.
shelf.
I like still have perfume from high school that I've never worn.
Also CK1.
I was gonna say CK1.
Yeah. Before her date with Hugh, she stops in at her dad's store just to say hi and to meet Hugh, because we remember he works at the store, and that's how they met. And Davey and her dad have a really good-natured teasing banter, and I love their dynamic. And the more human her dad becomes, the more I personally mourn him reading about him.
Totally.
And then Hugh shows up, and he's wearing a Grateful Dead shirt. He's a deadhead. They leave for their date, and Davey's dad tells them to have a nice time and not be too late. And the chapter ends
Yeah. They head off into the sunset.
to the $1 million pier. I want to know what happens.
We'll learn more and more because, I mean, Davey has some guilt about that night. And so
Yeah.
I want to know more about that, why she really feels that way.
Mm-hmm.
And so we open chapter 12, with Davey she tells herself, stop thinking about that night. You know, there's nothing you can do about it. And she just starts writing words. She writes alive on a slip of paper. She writes wolf. She likes writing the name Wolf. Mm-hmm. So she writes Wolf and Davey. And then she's like, oh my God, what am I going to do with these pieces of paper? So she puts them in the empty trunk that's in her room. And she puts a bunch of other stuff inside. Angora's sweater and her bread knife. She decides that Bitsy might be a little freaked out if she finds that bread knife under her pillow. So she'll only bring it out at night and keep it in the trunk during the day. And the family all reunites at dinner. And there's a really sweet moment with Davey and Jason. You know, they stargaze after dinner and they're looking up at the constellations. And Davey's got a really good knowledge of what's up there in that sky. And they just kind of snuggle, and that's the end of chapter 12. Heavy stuff.
It really is. And I feel like Jason is having kind of a good time in Los Alamos so far. He's in his element. I think he's really enjoying Walter and Bitsy's company, going on like exciting excursions. We haven't heard really a peep from the mom.
I think she
over these
is
few
a
chapters.
little bit tuned out.
Yeah.
A little bit like, what the hell is happening in my life? I'm just going to ignore it and kind of zone out a bit.
Yeah. Maybe
yeah, and there's no way that Jason can really process this. He's so young.
Mm-hmm. And then Davey, now that she's busting out and like doing her own thing a little more and she's met Wolf, like this is going to be a really great time for her. This is what she needs.
Yeah. But I think she might get into some trouble.
Yeah.
Because I think with Witsy being so uptight and a little bit on the conservative side of things, I just don't know how they're going to feel about her hanging out with someone as old as Wolf. And what I assume to be, he's a Native American. I don't know how they'll feel about that.
They probably don't have the most diverse group of friends.
No.
up on the hill.
And I don't think they're very open-minded.
Yeah.
So it'll be pretty interesting to see what happens.
What we do know is that she's going to have to go to school eventually.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to read about the school.
These 16 days are going to be up and she's going to stay.
Yeah.
There's going to be a reason that they can't go back to Atlantic City.
What else? Any more predictions?
There haven't been any crystals yet, but I'm still holding out hope for that.
Really rooting for the crystals.
Although it's kind of shattered a little bit by her deciding her name is Tiger. Thought, well, so much for Tiger's Eye.
Oh, I mean, I don't think that, like, it's not like a mutually exclusive thing.
You think I can have both crystals and someone
named
Tiger? Okay.
Yes. Symbolism.
All right, I'm into it. Feeling it.
I forgot to mention also that I left my book out in the rain today.
Oh my goodness.
And it's completely waterlogged.
It's like all the books in our house.
Yeah. So I don't think I can use the cover anymore. And I can't highlight it anymore because the ink just runs. So
oh no,
that's what I'm working with. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Blume Saloon.
Yes, you know, something we always forget to give a shout out to, but that I don't want to forget to give a shout out to is that Tyler Barber made our music. And it's so awesome.
Think about how we should have said that. So thanks for bringing that up. Thank you.
He's made a beautiful theme song for us. And if you have any friends or family members that you want to refer the Blume Saloon to, we would love it. We would love to get the word out. So help us.
It would mean so much to us. And we're also going to maybe try to figure out a way to sweeten the deal. You guys, we're getting a Blume Saloon pins made.
It's true. And we're going to give them to people who tweet or post or
spread the word
somehow creatively.
Skywriting airplane.
Yeah, if you want to get like an airplane and have it skywrite Blume Saloon podcast, we're into it.
If you have any connections to Jimmy Buffett and want him and can maybe get us like an advertising deal with Margaritaville,
we will
55
definitely
and over communities, that would be really great.
We would do SpawnCon for that for sure. So and don't forget to subscribe on iTunes, to rate and review us.
I'm gonna get really threatening. No, I'm not. But if you haven't left us a review yet, or rated us, or subscribed to us yet on iTunes,
Now's the time.
yeah.
And be our friend on Facebook.
And we'll be your friend forever.
Woo! Good night.
Bye.
Good morning.
Bye.